would you do if your boss said you had to have a computer ID chip implanted under your skin or you'd be fired? Well, we're not there quite yet, but one Ohio company is doing something that has some people wondering if we're headed down that road. Here's technology correspondent Daniel Seberg with tonight's Eye Opener.
There's my chip right there.
So you can actually see it.
It's about the size of a grain of rice, and it feels like it too. But what that tiny chip can and can't do has become the source of much concern and confusion.
I was in a grocery store, and a couple ladies said, "Hey, you're the guy with the chip in your arm, aren't you? You know, run across the scanner so we can see if we get a discount on groceries."
Sean Darks is the CEO of CityWatcher.com, a small company in Cincinnati that's the first U.S. business to use chip implants in its employees.
What you're looking at here is recorded footage back in August of a number of drug deals.
CityWatcher provides video surveillance for clients and for the police. And the video that it collects, like this drug bust, is the company's biggest asset. And they say they need to keep it under more than just lock and key.
You might have one of these where you work, a key card that allows access to different parts of the office. A lot of businesses use them, but here at CityWatcher, there's one particular room where you need either the implanted chip in your arm or a keychain. And Sean says the choice is up to the employee.
CityWatcher employees Chuck Gordon and Kari Williams require access to the secure server room where the video is stored. One got the implant, and the other decided not to. He carries the chip in a keychain instead.
That's one of the reasons that I don't want to do it. It's creepy to have knowing that something is there the entire time.
But Chuck, you could get over that feeling?
Right now, I guess the big thing is Big Brother's to be watching you over this. Basically, the chip's dormant except unless you go in front of the access panel. And that's the only time it activates. So other than that, I really have no worries about it.
Chip implants have been common in pets for several years, giving the owner peace of mind that their lost animal could be identified.
In the future, some companies envision a self-serve supermarket where every item is scanned as you walk through the store. No waiting, except for,
excuse me, sir,
the occasional hassle of human interaction.
Forgot your receipt.
Maureen Maher, CBS News.
Well, lose your wallet, leave your purse at home. Soon it may not matter at all because all of that information could be accessed through a chip so small that it fits inside your body. NBC 10's Dawn Timoney explains.
It's called a Vera chip, no bigger than a few grains of rice. It's implanted in your arm. A scanner accesses a personal code which opens up your information file. Dr. Christopher Mills recently installed the first New York chipware. And because it's so small and inserts under the skin in the arm, it can be done during a quick doctor's...
Looks at a whole different implant for the human body. It's a microchip that can be used for identification and to get medical help. No bigger than a grain of rice, this chip is at the center of a growing battle over its benefits and drawbacks. CBS's Bobby Harley has both sides of the story and the first people to get the chip.
Yeah, we're ready. We've
a procedure that takes only seconds to carry out.
And the chip is now extruded, and we're finished.
Has turned the Jacobs family into medical pioneers. They are the first people to get chipped, implanted with a tiny device called a Vera chip that emits radio frequencies. It's a personal ID that also contains vital medical information. He already wears a beeper-like GPS gadget and was also injected with a Vera chip. Implanting both devices would give him and his family more peace of mind.
But some citizens are embracing the age of Big Brother. In Rotterdam, Holland, nightclub owner John Van Gallen has introduced a system of microchipping for his VIP patrons. It's almost like barcoding people.
Yeah, it is, because every chip got a number, and the number corresponds to the name and the picture. That's the way it is, yeah, it is.
Vera Chip, subsidiary of publicly traded Applied Digital, has added Tommy Thompson to its board of directors. Company hoping the former Health and Human Services Secretary can help accelerate the use of RFID for healthcare and security applications. Joining us to discuss the future of RFID and his plans for Vera Chip, Tommy Thompson, former Health and Human Services Secretary, and Scott Silverman, Chairman and CEO of Applied Digital. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being with us.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be on your program.
Ms. Thompson, I'll start with you. We're doing a poll today. Would you have one of these things implanted in your arm or, I don't know, under your scalp or wherever you put it?
You put it in your right arm, and it's very small, and it doesn't bother you at all, but it certainly is going to allow you to identify who you are, protect your child. If you have a new child that's born in a nursery, you can protect that child from having somebody walk off with it. You can also protect your loved ones in a nursing home so that you can put a bracelet on and identify that individual and be able to find that individual if that person wanders away. But I certainly would, and I think it's a coming thing. And the problem is that medical technology is so far behind that RFIDs are going to really be the impetus in order for us to get new technology into the medical field that's going to help people improve their quality of care. And that's what it's all about.
And I'm sorry, sir, did you just say you would get one implanted in your arm?
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Okay.
That's it.
No concerns? No concerns at all? Because I have to admit, it makes me a little queasy, makes me worry. What happens if it gets dislodged? Am I being irrational?
Yeah, but just think of this. Now, if you were, wherever you are, if you're traveling, you're in New Jersey now and you're interviewing me in Washington, D.C.
Right.
Can you imagine if you were in Washington, D.C. and had an accident or had a stroke and went into the hospital? How long would it be before your records could get down here? How long would it take to be able to find out what sort of meds you're on or what allergies you have or what are you allergic to?
But people right now just use cards that are in their wallet. They carry around cards that say what my blood type is, if I have any allergies.
But the truth of the matter is the doctor doesn't know that, and the emergency ward certainly wouldn't. And the problem is that technology is so far behind in the medical field that people are dying every day because of the lack of technology. There 98,000 people died last year because of mistakes in hospitals and clinics across America. And a good share of those mistakes could have been prevented by technology. RFID is at the cutting edge of new technology, is going to help to improve the quality of health and the quality of care for all Americans.
Mr. Silverman, what about privacy concerns?
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having us back again. I appreciate it. The privacy issue associated with RFID technology really disappears because VeriChip is a voluntary product that is used by a patient for specific medical ailments, such as dementia, such as medical device recipients that need to identify their devices and their medical records, such as cardiac care patients and diabetic patients as well, who will voluntarily receive a VeriChip, as they've started to receive them in the North Jersey area where Hackensack University Medical Center has adopted the system.
How many people have these embedded in them? I shouldn't say embedded, but put in them.
We've sold approximately 7,000 VeriChips across the world right now. We believe that 2,000 of them approximately have been injected across the world, either for the medical or the security application. In the United States, we believe the number to be approximately 40 to 50 at this point, which all have occurred
40 to 50 people.
Correct. Which all have occurred since the FDA clearance of the product when you had us on back in October.
Yeah.
And then the rollout of the infrastructure in a number of hospitals in the Northeast region, which we look to expand the hospital infrastructure to 20 to 25 hospitals or emergency rooms by the end of 2005. And up to 200 emergency rooms by the end of 2006.
If I could turn to Secretary Thompson, just ask a quick question about your old job. Secretary Thompson, you were quoted last December as saying you have to assume that sometime in the future one of our countries, meaning the larger developed countries, is going to be hit by a bioterrorism attack. I assume you saw an article in the Wall Street Journal yesterday detailing failures, at least thus far, in developing with the U.S. government's help new vaccines and drugs to counter biological threats, and I'm curious to get your reaction to that.
Well, I think the story is somewhat correct, but you got to realize that the United States was starting from nothing, and the Department of Health and Human Service passed the BioShield protective legislation in order for industry to start coming into the field to produce new vaccines and new countermeasures. It's in the embryonic stages, but I think you got to realize it's a giant step forward to where we were. We still got a long ways to go, and I still am very concerned about a bioterrorism attack.
Mr. Silverman, we're almost out of time, so I'd appreciate brief answers if you could, sir. Sure. Can you update the information on this chip? Because, of course, health conditions can change. You can develop diabetes, whatever.
Yes, absolutely. The chip itself, Mark, has only a 16-digit identification number, and the information for your medical record databases is kept on a database that you can update via the internet.
Okay. And does your company make the implantable chips for pets?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
We do it for pets, we do it for livestock with the National Identification Program, and we do it for people.
Because it just occurs to me, I mean, my kids are old enough to be able to be found, but it occurs to me I've got them in my dogs. Why wouldn't I have them in small children, too? Thank you very much, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's our honor. Thank you very much.
An Ohio company has become the first American firm to implant silicon chips in employees to track their every move. Don't be surprised if your company asks to tag you.
Then there is the issue of privacy and whether employers might start demanding employees get the chip implanted as a form of ID.
The way it works is it actually picks up and amplifies ambient electromagnetic energy from the reader devices. And if you have one of these things in your arm and you get within range of a powerful electromagnetic field, it can actually burn you.
For the 20 million Americans who live with diabetes, daily finger pricks are a painful part of life. Getting the proper glucose reading is critical in controlling your diabetes. There is now a group of biotech companies that say they can change the way diabetics monitor their blood sugars with an implantable microchip like this one.
We're here in New York to unveil to the world the plans for the development of an implantable glucose sensor using RFID, or radio frequency identification technology. A tiny microchip about the size of a grain of rice would be injected into the arm of a diabetic patient, where they could actually take their glucose reading from within the body on an external scanner, thereby negating the need to prick your finger 1 to 4 times a day.
VeriChip Corporation has been a pioneer in RFID technology, first with their pet ID applications, and most recently in humans with their VeriMed patient identification system. It is anticipated that after this microchip is placed, the patient can painlessly monitor their blood sugars using a wireless scanner. The scanner also powers the microchip, avoiding the need for an internal battery.